Okay, welcome back to InsideFlix. We're going to be doing our weekly box office report. Rich, tell us which films made the top 5 in this past weekend.
Thor: Love and Thunder came in at number 1, opening up pretty big with 144 million. Opening at number 2 is Minions: The Rise of Gru with 46.1 million. Number 3 is Top Gun: Maverick, coming in with 15.5 million. Number 4 is Elvis with 11.1 million. And rounding out the top 5 is Jurassic World Dominion with 8.5 million.
All right, let's talk about Thor: Love and Thunder. Like Rich was saying, it was number 1 with 144 million. This is a little bit low than what we expected. You guys were saying that this movie might take in over 200 million.
Yeah, I was expecting it to do better than Doctor Strange 2, which opened at around 180 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really expect it to be over that, since traditionally the summer, and in the summer usually opens up bigger. So
yeah, and Thor didn't really have any competition this week. So it should have been a little bit bigger number. But regardless, Thor: Love and Thunder is better. It did better than Thor: Ragnarok, which I think came in about 122 opening weekend.
It's still a franchise best, but I mean, when you see the increase in the boost that Multiverse of Madness had on the previous Doctor Strange, I was personally expecting this to have a pretty extravagant boost as well, with the inclusion of like the Guardians and just the marketing that this movie had with Christian Bale and all that. But I guess not. I don't know. To me, it has to either be like people must have been very, very excited to what the potential of Multiverse of Madness could have been, being a follow up to Spider-Man: No Way Home. Maybe that's why this movie didn't reach those numbers, or Marvel fatigue, maybe.
I definitely believe that critics are feeling the Marvel fatigue because the criticisms around this movie is that it feels empty. They're saying is they weren't satisfied with the storyline, that it's too hollow. And I guess that you could say that with a lot of the last couple of Marvel movies.
Yeah,
they have no overall direction, that's for sure. Because the once after the end game, it's really up for grabs of what they're doing. No one really knows, and that's something they got to explain. They got to set up their overall franchise to another milestone that they got to reach.
Yeah, and also I think the streaming series didn't help the MCU. You're branching out multiple storylines that really don't feel like it's all congealing into one arc of a story. And look, I haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder yet, but Raymond, you have seen it, and I think you have some criticisms about the movie.
Yeah, but it's funny because my criticisms of the movie are no different than any criticisms I've had of the Marvel movies that have come out since Endgame. I had a lot of problems with Spider-Man: No Way Home. I had a lot of problems with Shang-Chi, Black Widow, and all the problems I had with those movies I have with this movie as well. So for me, it's more just like people are finally kind of opening their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe this one is significantly worse. I'm just so used to it. It did open big. It opened bigger than Ragnarok, but Ragnarok had good word of mouth.
That's true.
And fans and critics seem to be kind of harsh on this new movie, on this new Thor movie. And like I can just speak about like the reaction from my theater. But every time I went to go see a Marvel movie like Shang-Chi or something like that, they'll have these like horrible jokes. Like literally Ben Kingsley shows up and just completely makes a mockery of his career, and everyone just starts laughing. It's like this whole like ha-ha thing in the theater, and I'm just like, what's going on with the world? I watched the new Marvel movie Love and Thunder, and everyone in the theater is like silent. There's very few laughs throughout the movie. No one's laughing. No one's clapping. And when the movie ended, a lot of people just seemed kind of pissed. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, that might explain the weekend's numbers. If you look at Friday's numbers.
Oh yeah, on Friday it opened up. Yeah, like you said, 69.5 million, and it dropped almost 40% on Saturday with 42 million, and then it dropped an additional 22% on Sunday. But that's traditional. I mean, to drop on Sunday too. But the movie did do well internationally. It opened up with 159 million. And the worldwide total is 303 million. So,
oh yeah, the movie's making money. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like Thor is going to be the last kind of big blockbuster for at least for a couple more months. This summer feels very empty. Although we did see some really great surprises with Top Gun Maverick.
Some disappointments with like Lightyear.
Yeah, and Minions was a surprise too. So I don't know what's going to be the next surprise. Maybe Bullet Train will do well. I'm sure Nope was going to do well, but I don't see any movie that's going to break over that 150 or 125 barrier. It's going to be kind of a really slow summer. So Thor could get some legs and could grow a little bit more, but I don't see it. I agree with Raymond about the whole Marvel fatigue. People are feeling tired of some of these superhero movies.
Well, let me ask you really quick. Do you think the Marvel fatigue is going to like cross over to DC and maybe affect a movie like Black Adam? Because Black Adam, that comes out in October.
Mhm.
It looks like more like a Marvel movie than it does a DC movie. But it's also coming out, after many months, after months of not having a big blockbuster. You think Black Adam's gonna like have massive numbers, or is it gonna end up being a disappointment for Warner Brothers?
Well, I think the problem with Marvel movies is they don't feel like event movies anymore. They just kind of feel like you're obligated to watch them because you're already invested into this franchise. With Black Adam, I would say that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has a lot to do with that event feeling. He's going to promote this movie and he's going to say, "This is the best movie I've ever done in my whole life." He's going to lie to you right in your face and say that this is my best work and I'm going to get an Oscar for it or whatever.
Mhm.
And he's going to make you feel like you have to watch this because
That's what he does.
yeah, that's what he does. So I think it's gonna really depend on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to do what he does best, which is promoting his stuff. So I think it's going to do well. So I don't think it's going to be affected by the kind of that Marvel fatigue. I think the problem with Marvel fatigue, it's also you got to attribute to some of the streaming services. I think the streaming shows have been kind of lackluster. Moon Knight has not, personally, I did not like that show, and so also I could say like all the Marvel shows I have been disappointed about.
I'm surprised that I really enjoy Miss Marvel. It's
Me too.
I mean, it's going to end this weekend. I mean, the next episode, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's really sad to say that it's one of the best Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Rich, tell us the rest of the top 10 for this past box office.
Coming in number 6, The Black Phone with 7.7 million. Coming in number 7 is Lightyear with 3 million. Number 8 is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And coming in number 9 is Mr. Malcolm's List. And coming in 10th place is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, so Lightyear is basically gone from the map here. I mean, they dropped to almost 52%.
And a bunch of theaters.
A bunch of theaters are gone because of Minions. So this is dead in the water right now.
Yeah.
Marcel and the Shell with Shoes On is surprisingly doing well for an independent film. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's one of the it's A24 film. And it's voiced by Jenny Slate, the former SNL comedian. So it's doing very well. So it's going to open up wide next week, and I think it's going to do pretty decently. It's a nice surprise for an indie film. Let's look at what's coming up next week in theaters.
Open up wide, like we mentioned, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and also Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank. What? That's the title?
Yes.
And Where the Crawdads Sing.
What's your feelings about the numbers for these two movies?
I think Crawdads has got so much buzz, women-wise. I think it's a huge Reese Witherspoon produced book film, and that's the one that's I consider
Question mark?
Yeah.
I mean, it has a chance to not be a bomb. But if it is a hit, it's probably going to come in around that 10 to 15 million. Yeah, I'm guessing he'll probably make 10 million opening weekend. And that Legend of Hank, is it?
Paws of Fury.
I mean, like I said before, I mean, that movie just looks awful. It looks like something that should be coming out like straight to DVD or VOD. It shouldn't even be going to theaters. It doesn't look like a theatrical movie at all. I'm guessing that's going to make we have Minions in theaters right now, so that's going to be getting that whole audience. Plus, you have Thor in theaters, which is also another children's movie, basically. I think it's going to come in at 8 million.
How much of a drop do you think Thor: Love and Thunder is going to do? I mean, for its second week, normally superhero movies drop around 50%. Is it going to be more than that? It's going to be less than that?
I think it's going to be like 65%.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty steep drop.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the drops that the comic book movies were having earlier in the year. I mean, or last year. I think that's kind of what Black Widow had in Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is gonna be like those.
Well, it's definitely going to be number one next week, right?
Yeah.
All right, that was a report for this past weekend's box office. We'll be back next week with the results of Thor: Love and Thunder's second week. Bye bye.